Today's father and son turkey hunt brought to you by Field Torque Knives, SRB Field Rests, Rhino Skin, Sitting Hawk. Father and son hunting can be viewed at huntit.tv network.
So this hunt plays out sort of like a 4-act play, and Act 1 I get to entertain 4 jakes. The first one, which was the largest one, we call him the boss jake, flew in from the west over the creek, landed very, very close to my decoys, and was instantly joined by 2 on foot that came out of the bush behind me. They were waiting for him to arrive, I would say. He went straight to my jake decoy, we'll call him the runt, and obviously he was going to take advantage of that size difference. He eyed that decoy up from every angle, and what I got to witness was about the equivalent of a prize kickboxing fight. My jake lost. He laid a severe beating on him. I think it took about 6 single or double leg kicks to finally knock him off the stick that I had him on, and he did a wonderful job of flattening him out, and seemed satisfied that he had the situation in control. I think he really didn't want that small runt jake decoy cuddling up to the hen decoy that was there. But eventually he came to believe that that hen decoy was not going to make any love with him, and the 3 of them walked away down to the creek and were gone. Well, after a little intermission, Act 2 of this play has actually nothing to do with turkey hunting. But from my seat behind the cover, just inside the edge of the field in the bush, right across from me was a small younger ash tree. The leaves were just coming out from bud into full leaf. By no means, maybe about 50% of the tree was fully in leaf. A young groundhog crawled up the tree, out of the branches, and started gorging himself on the leaves. Just couldn't eat them fast enough, and he would venture farther and farther and farther out on the small branches. The branches would bend and bend, and I thought he was going to end up back in the ground. But something I've never seen before. I had no idea that groundhogs crawl up trees to eat leaves, and sort of a Ripley's Believe It or Not thing, but got it all on video, and hey, if you're not out there, you don't see these things. Well, it didn't take too long. A little intermission, and Act 3 of the hunt starts, and with a nice bit of clucking, I had 2 hens come out of the bush behind me. The first one out was the dominant hen, and I would say just an absolute beauty queen. She was perfectly feathered, perfectly colored. The browns, the brindled colors, the bars, the markings were absolutely pristine. This would be a bird that if I was nominating a hen for a postcard photo contest, this one would be the winner. She was the dominant bird. The other hen that came with her wasn't much smaller, but she was your ordinary plain Jane blacks and grays, not a dominant bird. But they worked in and amongst those decoys, and this, of course, the decoys are about 19 yards, 20 yards from me. And they worked through them back and forth, lots of clucking. They would venture down over the bank of the creek right behind the decoys. They'd venture in there and cluck from down there, pop back up, wander through. And eventually they wandered a little bit farther away, disappeared into the creek bottom. And I thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be a aimless day, and we get a gobble from behind, the first real gobble of the morning. He's back there quite a piece. So out with the Derby City Slate call, give him a series of yelps for an answer, and shut up. And it didn't take long for Act 4 to start. With one final gobble, right at the very edge of the field, the mature bird that I ended up harvesting came out of the bush to my right, maybe 25-30 yards, straight into a full strut, stood there, and eyed up the scene in front of him, and then dropped out of the strut instantly into pretty much a dead run, straight across the field, right at the hen decoy, and hit her with a full 2 feet on broadside attack. And I'm glad it was the hen that took it, not me. He gave her his best shot, and he seemed to be sending a message to her that what was wrong with her head. She's not supposed to be messing around making love with little runt Jake decoys like the one that was in front of her. And he was reminding her that he's the boss and she better toe the mark. So he gave us a great show, and lots of struts, lots of show, and he was sending that message to that hen: shame on you, don't be playing with young Jakes. When I made my decision it was time to harvest the bird, in the course of getting the gun up, the camera aimed, too much movement, and the Tom got nervous, and he starts a little bit of his own clucking and began to move away. Waited about 2 minutes, and presto, back over the hill he comes, and the 2 hens in tow behind him. So just call that lucky, nothing but lucky. And waited patiently and worked his way right back to the decoys, picked up the picture where he left off, and I made my decision again. You're going to come home with me over my back, proceed to get the gun up, get the camera lined up again, and once more he catches the movement, starts to walk away exactly the same the second time, and I finally had to give up on the camera and concentrate on the shot. It's likely twice the distance that I prefer to do it, but I know the gun, and I know the shot, the ammunition very, very well. And bingo, over he went. We had him, and it was a great end to a very interesting hunt. And we've got some video here for you, so I hope you enjoy it, and thanks. See you next turkey season.
Father and Son Hunting would like to recognize a new turkey hunter that came out this past season. Boris may not have went with the right person each day, but he got up every morning without complaint or hesitation, got into the field, and gave it his best shot. Father and Son Hunting look forward to taking Boris out next year and going for that big bird. 'Cause Boris knows there's a giant Tom not far away.